it's Ivy Slater, and you're listening to Her Success Story Podcast, a show where gutsy businesswomen share their success journey. Hello, and welcome back to Her Success Story. This is Ivy Slater, and today we have a special guest. I have Phil Gerbyshak. Now, Phil talks about the power of relationships and LinkedIn, and he's going to share some tips and tricks as well as his background and what he got started with today. But let me share with you first that Phil is a speaker, a sales expert, corporate sales trainer, and a small business coach. He helps his clients on the power of connection, leveraging the reach of social media combined with the deeply personal work of nurturing one-on-one relationships. And for those of you who have been following me, now you know why Phil and I connected so quickly. He helps his clients grow long-term profitable businesses, and that's a key. It's not just about sales, it's about profitability and transforming business and boosting revenue. Phil has written 5 books, with his 6th book to be out by the end of this year, that's 2019, and has been featured in the Wall Street Journal, USA Today, Forbes, Fortune, and enormous amount of other social media as well as media outlets out there. He has his own podcast called Conversations with Phil Gerbyshak. You ought to check it out, and I will be a guest on his podcast before you know it. So let me welcome Phil. Thank you for joining me here today. Thanks for taking time out of, I know in your life is a busy day.
It's my pleasure, Ivy. Thank you so much for having me. I'm happy to make time for you and your people.
So tell me a little bit of how you stepped into the realm. You know, I'll always say, you know, we graduate some school, whether it be high school, college, law degrees, medical degrees, MBAs. We have all these goals and aspirations, and then we look back and say, wow, how did I get here? So where did your career transpire to bring you to do what you do today?
Well, it actually would have really started out when my first job out of high school was in the Navy. I went in the military. I served for 4 years, and I delivered email by hand.
I like that.
Yeah, and I thought the internet was completely fake. I worked for the National Security Agency, the ones who listen, and I thought the internet was fake. We were at 9,600 baud. It was super duper slow. I then started, I got out of the Navy because, again, I thought the internet was fake. And then the internet became very real because in 1996, when I was going to college, email was the only way to communicate with professors. And I was like, okay, I better learn this. So I started learning it, started building websites, doing various things. When 2001 happened, I was working on a trading desk, stocks and bonds and options and all this stuff. And the internet, again, was super duper real. It was really fast. And I always wanted to go back to IT. I was a stockbroker, and I wanted to go back on the technical side to help people who don't understand technology to really better get it. So when 9/11 happened, it became clear that that was really something I needed to do. So I went back into IT, and then I was a VP of IT, and I got bored, and social media kind of happened. There was, Web 2.0 back in 2004, 2005. There was Business 2.0 was a big magazine. Fast Company was just getting started. And Seth Godin said that if you go to sethgodin.com and click on his shiny bald head, you can read his daily blog. And I said, okay, I'd like to do that. So I started writing myself, sometime late in 2005. And got going. LinkedIn happened, Twitter happened, and then in 2008, I gave a 2-year notice in corporate America. I quit for good in 2010, and I thought I was going to be a management consultant. I had a blog with 500,000 visitors every single month, and we thought that was going to be big. And unfortunately, the company that we were writing for got bought. So I was like, oh boy. Got to pivot fast here. What do I do? What do I know? Who do I know? How can I help people make money? Because I thought it was going to be, like I said, as a management leadership consultant. And it happened to be that because of my ability to start a blog, my ability to leverage Twitter, leverage LinkedIn, leverage Facebook for relationships, that became what people started paying me for. So really full speed ahead by the end of 2010, early 11. And it's been a fun ride ever since. I've been doing this. I mean, certainly, you still pivot. I still do some websites for folks. I still do A lot of coaching, a lot of training. Sometimes it is about mindset and kind of personal leadership, but often it is right in that sales marketing lane of how do we build a profitable business so that we can have something that's going to be around longer. And I'm proud to say that now I'm a member of the other NSA, the National Speakers Association, the ones who talk, not the ones who listen.
I like it. I like it. So one thing you and I had chatted about when we were talking previously was the importance of personal brand. And it came up with, so just so you guys know, Phil and I truly believe in what we both teach because we were connected through mutual colleagues and friends with people who just said the two of you ought to have a conversation, and one conversation led to another and another. And we're here today because our belief systems are so strongly aligned. Now, in looking at that, I remember going on your website when I first met you, and I was like, damn, he's good. He knows his stuff. He's clear in his brand. You look at Phil's site and you're like, you know why you're going to hire him and if he's right for your company. So talk to me a little bit about this, definition of, yes, all the relationships on and offline are vitally important, and the relationship with yourself, your initial branding, it starts there. Share a little more of what you do and your philosophy around there.
Sure. Well, let me tell you what personal branding is not. And personal branding, first of all, is not just saying that you're awesome and pretending to be an expert. It takes time to develop expertise. Now, that being said, I do fully believe that if you are even one or two steps ahead of your clients and the people that would work with you, that you should own that greatness that you have. But I would really, I'm reticent to use the word expert when someone just got started or is, just a few years in. You need time to do that. But personal branding really is what people say, first of all, when they first bump into you, before they even get a chance to talk to you. So if you go to Google or you go to Bing or whatever platform that you use for a search engine, and I say whatever platform because you might love YouTube. If you go to YouTube and you put in somebody's name, what do you find? If you go to LinkedIn, what do you find? If Twitter, whatever platform that you're on. Now, to many people, they think, well, geez, I just wish people go to Google. Well, they don't. They go to their favorite platform, whatever that is, and they look for you because they hope that you're there. So if we think about what does that mean? That means, first of all, defining who is your target audience. Second of all, where do they spend time? And then third of all, who are you? Now, I say third because sometimes it's really hard to figure out who we are. So sometimes we can do that through the people that we serve. So if we serve doctors and nurses in the hospital and medical industry, we would likely call the doctor and nurses and medical professions customers. We'd call them patients. And that's a little thing that helps people understand that, yes, indeed, you're talking to them. And that personal brand is personal, not just because it's all about you, but it's personal because it connects with your ideal customer. It connects with the person that you want to do business with. Now, around that, what you have to do is you really have to figure out what makes you special and what makes you different. Not unique anymore, because unique is really a myth. And most people have at least one or more things in common, but it does make you special because it's your blend that makes you special, your blend of what it is that you do. So I firmly believe that the goal should be to burst forth with all of your best stuff, all of your, in my case, my fulfillness, right? All fill all the time, but so that it's all about my customers. So it's not just, yes, I'm really great, and yes, I do this, but how does that help you in your journey? If you're going to use my services or buy my products or hire me to speak or be my client as a coaching client, whatever that is, you have to come up with that. And you have to see that I'm someone of value to you. And that's often the miss, because yes, on my website there are lots of pictures of me because it's philgerbyshak.com. Of course, you'd expect to see a lot of pictures of me, but you see that because you see that I'm having fun. And if you're in business and you're like, man, business can be drudgery, I just want to have more fun. And then you come across me and you see, oh, well, he looks like, not only does he look like he's working, but he looks like he's having fun. Okay, well, that's a check in the positive column. You also see that I'm, full color. I'm not just some stuffed suit. I certainly do have a headshot with me in a suit and tie, absolutely, because sometimes that is necessary. I'm happy to suit up if that's required, if that's what my client is, because it's not about me. But I do it in my way. I have an orange tie.
Right. So what I love about when we look at your site and we look at the brand that you are and the brand you've created for the people who come to you to work with you is it doesn't look like, oh, this guy out of the Navy. It doesn't look like, oh, yeah, I could tell he spent X amount of years in finance and IT. It's Phil, and you take your years of knowledge and help your clients in your way. And it's the people, when they see your branding, say, oh, this is a little different. I like this, as opposed to looking like every other suit or stuffed shirt or, I burned my business suits when I left printing. I said, okay, 20 plus years, I don't own a business suit. I have a couple of funky blazers, but kind of wearing it with jeans kind of look. But like I was the sweet three-piece suit girl. I will not go on a stage in a suit at all whatsoever. I have shifted my branding that when I speak in a dress. So how does this then trickle down into now the work? How do we take this to the next level? Because I know one thing that you are down and dirty aligned with is your genius in social media, and you take the online to the offline, which makes the difference.
Absolutely. So, once we know who we are, we know who we really can attract, right? Because we come up with, first of all, that who we might want to work with, and sometimes they're not aligned. I thought I wanted to work with financial services people, and they're very, very type A. They must, I only wear a 3-piece suit. They want to wear a 5-piece suit. Like, come on, that doesn't fit. That doesn't fit.
Extra pieces you really don't need.
No, I mean, that's just flair, right? I think you're just showing off if you got a 5-piece suit. So yeah, so that doesn't fit. So as we take that and we attract then the right people, and the right people say, yes, I will take a call with them. Yes, I will take I will have an email conversation with them. Yes, I will even just allow them to connect on LinkedIn. We're then able to take that offline if we add value first. So the first thing is what I call, you get dressed before you get busy. That's the whole suiting up thing. You suit up the way that you're most comfortable to attract the clients that you want to attract. And that's the fact that you wear a dress, Ivy, is exactly what I'm talking about there. You don't pretend to be somebody you're not. So we have that, right? We get dressed before you get busy. And then we add value always. And that means that we know what our genius is. We know where we're smart. We know what's relevant to our prospects, to our customers, and we share that often, even if it isn't our own work, not by stealing it and plagiarizing it, but by sharing it, by mentioning why it's relevant. I can tell you that I have clients and prospects who think that, wow, you must write a lot of content because you share so much on social. They don't see who actually wrote the article, because often they don't click through to read the link. All they read is where I told them in the beginning, this is the piece that's relevant. So basically, I'm their human cliff notes. I make that happen, and over again, then builds your brand and gets you known as someone who is of value. So first we get dressed before we get busy. Second, then we add value before we add volume. And then lastly, we invite the offline. As we're looking for business.
So tell us more about that, because everybody's so online focused in this day and age, and it's understandable. What do you mean by inviting the offline?
So in public, nobody likes to be sold. When you see somebody that says, click my stuff, aren't I great, buy my product, buy my service, we know that that's advertising. And yes, for about 7 to 12% of people, a direct advertisement might be effective, but there's so much noise out there that it's getting less and less. In fact, I would say probably by the end of this year, we're going to see that actual advertising that is custom to much of your demographic information, much of your needs, not just one piece, but multiple pieces of that, even some psychographic information. That's going to happen. That's great. But here's the taking it offline. I'm adding value. I'm adding value. I'm adding value. Someone leaves a comment. Someone likes it. Someone shares it. My goal then is to have an offline conversation with them. And offline, I don't mean off like completely like send them smoke signals. First, I mean a private message, right? A private message. Hey, Ivy, I noticed that you like that article. And hopefully, I can go deeper than just the article that I shared. Hopefully, we can have a real conversation about that. So let's presume that's true. Would you like to talk more about that? Is that something of value? Or better yet, I share my prospects' work. I share their stuff. And I have an opinion often about what they shared because I'm well-read. I'm well-rounded. I don't just know my business. My goal is to know business, all of business. And not that I'm an expert in all of it, but I know enough that we can have a conversation. And if we can have an offline private conversation, then perhaps it can lead to a Zoom call. It can lead to a telephone call. It can lead to, hey, Ivy, I see you're traveling to Tampa. We should get together. Let's have a cup of coffee in person. Or if we're, really, really busy, we might offer the fact, hey, I would love to have a chat with you. Tuesdays from 2 to 3 are typically open. Does that ever work for you? Just for 15 minutes. Let's have a chat. Let's see. And often, even though I book 15 minutes, there's a deeper conversation. To your point about us, the first conversation was via email. Then we had, a kind of a quicker call, and then we had a longer call. Well, that's how it's supposed to work. That's the goal. You have to build that trust factor because, frankly, if you ask me right now, not you, Ivy, but someone in the audience, if they listen and they say, well, I'd love to spend an hour with Phil. Even if you are my perfect customer, I don't know that yet. And to give up an hour to somebody that I don't know is like, as much as that sounds wonderful, I don't know that I have time for that. So we have to invite some short nugget of time, 15 minutes, and then respect the heck out of that. At 12 minutes, we have to say, you know what? I'm done. We can't talk further, not because I don't have more to say, but I just want to be respectful of your time because I know you're busy like I am. And let's
So you're saying really be clear of boundaries.
Absolutely. And set that expectation as much as you can up front. And then not just be clear about setting the boundary, Ivy, respecting the boundary and understanding that if you said 15 minutes, it's got to be 15 minutes. It cannot be an hour. Because even though they'll be nice and let you go, often that's, that then shows poorly for future calls.
So I love that you are scheduling and so clear on your scheduling, your boundaries, etc. So we have leaders of all sorts who check in on this show, and I have not asked this question in ages. So maybe you can give me a little insight and tip here, and as well as our listeners. How crazy scheduled are you? How do you get this all into a week? How do you have time to do all the things you do?
Yeah, that's a really good question. The first thing is I know kind of what my big buckets are. So every week I know that I need to prospect for new business. Every week I know that I need to deliver my services, my products to my coaching clients. I have to deliver a keynote. I have to deliver training. I have to deliver slides, if you will. Sometimes, the event organizer wants my slides ahead of time for whatever reason. So I have a deliverable. That goes on the calendar. I block the time. I do that. With that, then I also do have a calendar link so that if people wish to schedule time, I have a calendar link. And that calendar link I offer as an easier thing for the person on the other end, But of course, it's also easier for me because then I don't have to worry about going back and forth. I don't have to say, okay, Ivy, well, how about 10 a.m.? And then you get back to me in 3 hours, and now 10 a.m. suddenly got booked over because a client wanted it. And now you're like, well, 10 a.m. would be great. Oh, no, it doesn't work. How about 2 o'clock? And it takes you a couple hours because I don't expect people to respond to me automatically. And then 2 o'clock is now busy. Well, crap. Well, here's a link. And I always position it as, if you're willing to use it, this could save us both a lot of time. And use this. If not, please suggest some times that work for you so that I can look, because some things are blocked on my calendar, like I said, for deliverables that sometimes I can move. If I have every day, I have 90 minutes blocked for lunch and exercise. I don't always get to that, but it's blocked every day. And sometimes for a new client, I might open up that time for them, but it's blocked. So it is time boxed. I don't have to, I don't have to worry about that. So I know what my big rocks are. I know it's important. And then I'm just deliberate about that. And I do things when I have time. So when I scheduled a social media, when I post to social media, I don't schedule. I schedule time to respond. So that means today at 8 o'clock, had I gotten my exercise in early, I might have posted something to one of my social channels, because then I would have had time right until the time that we recorded to respond. But if you don't have time to respond, if you don't have time to have a conversation, don't drive by, don't do it. So everything is pretty deliberate. It's pretty much on my calendar. How crazy busy am I? I don't know. I guess no crazy busier than anybody else. Some days are not, right? Some days are crazy. Some days I'm busy from the time I wake up until until late. I mean, yesterday, for instance, I had a dinner, so I was out until 9:30 at night. But some days, some days get done at 4:30, and I try not to book too much time on my Friday afternoons so that I can relax a little bit, and then I flex.
And so I think one of the greatest tips you're sharing, and I know I do it, I know many successful people do it, is truly calendar. Block your calendars, plan ahead. Don't just wing day to day. Plan for your success by blocking out the time for the activities that lead to the achievement of what your goals are out there.
Absolutely. So in a business, I have what I call RPAs, right? Revenue producing activities. I know what those revenue producing activities are. And I know that if I don't spend any time doing them this week, it might not hurt me this week or this month or even this quarter, but in 6 months, my business is going to be dry, and I'm going to know why, because I look back and say, wow, that week you didn't do anything. Now, sometimes you can make that up, but like sleep, how much of that can you really make up? A little bit, but not all of it. So it's important that you are consistent in those things that you do, and the important stuff you have to put on your calendar. My calendar is my life. If it isn't on my calendar, it doesn't happen.
I cannot agree more. My calendar is my life. I have some people look at my calendar and they're like, really, Ivy? You have to schedule time to blank? I said, yes, because then I know I respect that activity. If it's working out, if it's picking up some food, if it's my travel time, whatever it is, it goes in. They're like, well, why? Why all the little nitty gritty? I said, because it shows that it's important to me.
Yeah. And I make sure nobody blocks over the top. I mean, I sometimes forget to block travel time, which means I'm not giving someone my full attention because likely I'm either driving or I'm in the back of an Uber or Lyft. Well, that doesn't help. That doesn't serve. That doesn't, if it's a catch-up call, if we're just, if it's a get to know me, absolutely. I'm going to leverage as much time of that as I can. But if it's already blocked for travel time and you call up and say, you know what, how's 8:30 on Tuesday? Well, I look and I see, 8:30 on Tuesday. Okay. Well, I'm on the road. If it's okay with you, I'll be driving. You won't get all my attention, but you get most of it. Is that okay with you? And then you can decide. Then it's up to you, right? Because it's important to me as well to respect the other person and to be honest and upfront with what's going on and not just, oh yeah, well, okay, well that looks like time, and then block every minute of the day either, because that doesn't help anybody.
So let me ask you this. In your journey, in your career, in your life, what has surprised you? What surprises you? What are the things that come up, the situations, the curveballs?
Well, I think partnership is both the best thing you can do in your business as well as the worst thing you can do. And that's kind of surprised me. Partnership for me has been just a constant battle because sometimes it works for a little while and it's really a powerful multiplier. But I also recognize that when done wrong, it can wreck my business. I had a couple years ago, I had a partnership that really did not work at all. And I didn't eject as fast as I probably should have, and it about broke me. I mean, it was really bad. So partnership, that's kind of surprised me. I think the other thing that surprised me, it's just the speed with which things move is amazing, and yet the fundamentals are unchanging. So those are the things that kind of surprise me and have thrown me for curveballs. And what I mean by things are
So I was
changing.
going to say,
Yeah.
so give some example here, because I agree with what you're saying, but I want to make sure our listeners truly understand. So the rate things are changing, yet the rate they stay the same.
Yeah. So the changing is okay. So which social media platform and what does the algorithm look like, and how do we leverage that? Well, that often can change. I mean, the algorithm changes often, and we need to find ways to kind of stay out front of that. And that means we have to be frequent, and we have to be often, and we have to follow people that are on top of their game. And that's really important. That means sometimes you don't have to be in the social media business to follow social media experts. You can follow people that are experimenters at laboratories. At Agora Pulse, they have some really smart experimenters in their lab. So they're doing a lot of the work for us. So I recommend, check out Agora Pulse's labs and see what Scott Ayers and the team are doing there. Keep up with them. Buffer does experiments. You don't have to use their software in order to see what works. Just read their blog and pay attention. So that's changing. But what's staying the same is, first, it is a human business. No matter what business you're in, it's humans first. And if you don't remember that and you think it's about the tech, you lose. I see this often. I get people, sometimes I end up being the second or third coach that they've ever had, not the first coach, and they've been totally hosed before. Somebody totally took advantage of them and threw a bunch of tech at them, and they believed that that's what they wanted. I've talked to people who've spent $70,000 on a tech platform and never sold a dollar of that course. That just breaks my heart, but I see it and I understand why, because sometimes when we don't know and someone pushes on a problem and they say, oh, well, you don't have a course, therefore, you're not a real business owner. Well, that's not true. That's not true. You can be a real business owner when you call yourself a real business owner. If you're making a profit and it is your full-time work, you are a business owner. So remembering that, that doesn't change. It's a people-first business. When people send you an email, when people call you, when people text you or message you or find you on whatever platform, the question you should ask yourself, because this never changes, is how would I respond to them if I was talking to them face to face? That doesn't change. We always need to prospect. That doesn't change. You always need to be marketing. That doesn't change. And you need to be following up. That doesn't change. Now, how do we do that? Well, that could change. Sure, absolutely. But the fundamentals of business, prospecting, qualifying, having conversations, building relationships, adding value, delivering on our promises. I mean, that's, and working with people, that just doesn't change. And I don't think that ever will.
I cannot agree more. The fundamental business, I'll always say, this is coming from me, business is business is business. The facts of the keys of doing business doesn't change. The components of business doesn't change. Sales, marketing, finance, mindset, people, team, working on all of those, it will not change. Okay? How we do that is what is changing as society is changing, as technology is changing and advancing.
Absolutely. Couldn't agree more.
So any tips for our listeners? What one thing that you've noticed for yourself in all the years you've done business?
Sure.
What
So,
could you see that being?
yeah. Well, so it's a little phrase that I coined. That's be more you and be you more. So what do I mean? So be more you means you have to let your full self out and give yourself permission to be your own interesting, unique, different self. Put it out there. So be more you. Don't be worried about perfect punctuation and perfect spelling. I'm not saying that you should purposely not spell check anything, but I am saying don't stress. You're going to miss a comma here. You're going to miss a semicolon there. It's okay. People forgive you if it's really you. So let yourself shine through, and then be you more means be more often on social media. Be more often as you communicate. Be more often doing these things. Be you more, because as you're you more, because you might not know who you are at first, that's okay. Just keep putting it out there. That's all right. Just unfiltered. Just be yourself. Put it out there over and over and over again. The more often that you're you, the more people are going to either like you or not. I would much rather get a no than a maybe. Of course, I love a yes, because yes puts money in my bank account, right? And that means that I can help change the world just a little bit more with each additional yes. But a no is fine too. And the more often you're out there, the more frequent, the more regular you're out there, the more you can grow your business. And the more that you're you, the more fun you can have. So fun plus business, for me, that equals a great life.
I like it. Fun plus business is a great life. Fun plus business for me is success. Phil, thank you for joining us today.
Absolutely. My pleasure. Ivy, can I offer one thing
I
for
was just
folks?
going to say, yeah. I said, because you have something, we don't always, not all my guests have this offer, anything else. But I have to tell you something. I did this because I wanted to, because I looked at Phil's work and I was like, damn, this man is good. So please share with my audience, share with Her Success Story audience, this little gift that is a gold gift.
Absolutely. So we talked about being more you. We talked about all those important things. So what I'd like to offer you folks is a profile report card, so you can really crank up your LinkedIn, because that is often the first place people are going to go when they're looking for you. They're going to use that as their search engine. So what I'd like to offer you is my LinkedIn profile report card. It's really simple. If you go to LinkedInprofilereportcard.com, you will get a free LinkedIn profile self-report card, 10 tips to create your standout LinkedIn profile so you can get more business. It's really important that you look really good on LinkedIn. Again, that is the #1 search engine for a lot of businesses. They just go there and they put in your name. And if you don't look like someone of value, you're going to miss out. You're going to lose business because of that. So if you just go to LinkedInprofilereportcard.com, you can get that. You download it. You'll then also get my newsletter. You'll get podcast interviews like the one I'm going to do with Ivy, and all sorts of stuff that can help you grow your business.
So amazing. For listeners out there, LinkedIn is one of the greatest resources. Some people have misnomers about it, so I just want to be really clear. LinkedIn is for people looking to grow their careers. It's for businesses looking to grow. It's for salespeople looking to grow. Every portion of business you can be in, LinkedIn will touch and help you shine. And the more you shine and the better your profile is, and you work your LinkedIn profile, you work your LinkedIn connections and resources and develop true relationships online to the offline is where the gold is.
Couldn't agree more. That's the most important thing. The more that we can take things offline, the more business we can do.
Awesome. Well, Phil, thank you for taking so much time out of what I know is a calendared and busy day for joining us here at Her Success Story. Listeners, please feel free. Check out Phil's LinkedIn profile and report card, and leave a comment. Let me know, let the team at Her Success Story know what your takeaways are from Phil's interview, how we can help you, what you like, and what else you want to hear. Most importantly, have a beautiful day out there, and we'll see you next time.